Christmas edition of the morning show at Pit Stop Village, 44 Alexander Road, Ikoyi. Beautiful space, I must say, overlooking the iconic Lagos-Ikoyi or Lekki-Ikoyi Bridge. Now, for 2024 Sports Review and the year ahead, Aaron Akerijola joins us. Good morning, Aaron. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you.
Aaron.
Good morning to you. Good morning to you, Doctor. Good morning to you, Rufai.
Morning, Aaron.
I had to come in for this Christmas special.
Thank you.
Yes, I had to come in. But, okay, to get this all started, 2024 was quite an iconic year and a very, very monumental year. And it is hinged on so many things, and we are hoping that it will begin to see the fruits of it in 2025.
Yeah.
But to start things off, one of the biggest events, I must actually say that kudos to the Duke himself, because our eyes was live and present at some of the biggest sporting events across the globe. All right, and it didn't get bigger than the Olympics in Paris, and wonderful weather. We were there all through, from the opening ceremony down to the closing ceremony. It was magical. If we were to take away the misfortune that greeted Team Nigeria, the Olympics set the standard, and we saw new athletes being inducted into what will become the Hall of Fame, and we saw people rising to the fore, and not just rising to the fore, we saw sportsmanship at the highest level. It was just unfortunate that Nigerian athletes were not given the opportunity or given that footing to go there and excel. It's unfortunate because we'll talk about the repercussions of that. But the Olympics was one to cherish, and Paris 2024 will go down as one of the best Olympics yet. Whether it was profitable or not, it's the debate for another day. But I must say, just on paper, France and the President Macron were able to put together an Olympic for the ages. And security problems that were looking like it was going to raise ugly before the Olympics was a no-show at all. I must say that, a no-show at all. Paris was safe and it was enjoyable. Away from that, another massive event, as a matter of fact, this year, 2024, started off with a bang, with the Super Eagles going all the way to Ivory Coast to jostle for what will be a very elusive 24th title, talking about the AFCON title. It was unfortunate. Rufai, I remember after their very first game against Equatorial Guinea, scathing reviews. And I must tell you, like I told you then, almost like a prophet, because I said that the Super Eagles have something in them and they were going to do great things. And they went on, of course, going past Ivory Coast, going past Cameroon, going past South Africa, on to the final. But it was unfortunate that they came close, very close, and they were just whiskers away from winning that particular title, with the captain of the side, best player of the tournament, William Troost-Ekong, actually scoring the goal before Adringa just turned the game on his head, giving some sublime passes that ended up with the Elephants of Ivory Coast winning the Nations Cup. And the nation went gaga, I must say. They were happy. That third Nations Cup, equaling Nigeria's own record of 3 Nations Cup in time past, was an anticlimax, if you would ask me, because from when they started, they were looking like they were lost at sea, fired their coach in between the tournament, got in Faye, who was quite an experience. I never coached. Yes. And if you'd ask me, Coach of the Year, if you'd ask me, based on that particular heroics he did at the AFCON 2024. Away from that, that particular AFCON meant that one man shone like a million stars. Ademola Lookman, although he didn't win the player of the tournament, he set himself for what will be a massive season, because he not only just did that, 17 goals in last season, accompanied with the 12 he already has this season, meant that he was head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to performance, both for those that were in the continent of Africa and those in the diaspora. And it wasn't little or no surprise that Ademola Lookman, another Nigerian, winning it back-to-back after Victor Osimhen won it last season, to actually pick up that particular golden trophy for himself and for Nigeria, and stating that at the moment, when it comes to football, individual footballers, Nigeria is up there with the very best. And we're hoping that he gets a very big money move, because if he does that, then it will actually set the pace for what he can actually achieve, because his reason from nothing, literally from oblivion, he's actually moved into prominence, and his star and his story is just being written. we've not heard the last of Ademola Lookman,
Yeah.
I must actually say. Now, away from that, we talked about the Olympics, the debacle that came out from the Olympics, and the president heard the cries of people in the sporting ecosystem, and they came out and said that they were going to do something. There was a huge tectonic shift in the sporting space, which meant that the Ministry of Sports Development was scrapped, and the National Sports Commission was reinstated after being pushed away, and that has set the tone for what will be great things. Malam Sheodiko, all excited about this, and we're beginning to see the excitement of corporate Nigeria, because right now, as we're speaking, it's barely 2 months into their reign, and corporate Nigeria already trained their weight behind them. And with the DJ, Bukola Olokpa, they're also in the mix. These are men that know how to market sports in Nigeria. And why I'm always excited about this is this. Sports in Nigeria is a money game.
Yeah.
And we need people that can bring in the funds to help these athletes go on to do great things. And we're hoping that 2025 will begin to reap the dividends of this, because we have major events in 2025. Of course, top of them will be December next year, when we would actually go into the AFCON. And hopefully the Super Eagles can finally rise to the occasion and qualify for the 2026 World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada. And finally, you mentioned this Ayo earlier on during Rotus's segment. One of the most important mile markers for 2024 in terms of sports has to be the Riyadh season.
Yeah.
The Riyadh season has become the go-to platform when it comes to sports globally. Saudi Arabia, Rufa, you might say it's sports washing, but Saudi Arabia have pumped in billions every year. Riyadh season started in 2019, and every year they keep upping the ante. And as it stands right now, everyone wants to go to Riyadh to get a piece of that particular pie. And it was probably the height of it in 2024 has to be the fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, because we know Usyk actually picked that particular one. But the sheer amount of money that these athletes are walking away with is life-changing. And I don't know if Riyadh pulls out of sports, because we've seen it happen even in football, the Ronaldos of this world and those players that have gone to Saudi Arabia to play. If they pull out of sports, if sports will ever remain the same again, because all money has always dominated sports, whether it was the Russian oligarchs that were pumping in money into football, and right now Saudi Arabia doing the same. Let's see how it goes. But it was quite a year, I must say.
It will remain the same, because it's not today. People will always take up the mantle. Don't forget that before you had the likes of Riyadh season, you had Isaiah sponsoring and being host to one of the biggest heavyweight boxing bouts in the world, Rumble in the Jungle. So at some point you had Trilla in Manila, which was in the Philippines. There will always be venues, and even before the whole House of Sards, they started investing a lot in sports in the 80s, starting up the King Fahd Cup, which that became the Confederations Cup and all of that. There have been other countries that poured public money. So it's going to circulate, but they are just doing it, and it's very intentional now, because they're also using it to build the economy. I think going into 2025 will be the state of the Super Eagles. Yes, we have Augustine Iguavo leading the charge as of now. I mean, you've also forgot to talk about the controversy of the what I call the Labadia controversy. One day it was said that Labadia was coach. The next day he says no. They said they're working on the permit and all of that. And all of that shenanigans that happen around the team. Hopefully they'll be able to shake that away from them in 2016. Also, the fact that Pep Guardiola and your team, goodness me, he started on a high.
You didn't mention that.
No, but it's not big enough, because when which story would you take out of the 5 that I actually brought it? No. That's still down and the pecking order.
I know.
Down and the pecking order.
A Man City fan would say it's down and the pecking order. But it's number one story in the world as we speak, of a manager that is so successful that doesn't even understand what failure is, that doesn't even understand how to fail.
Still early days.
He's been self-harming. He's been scratching the scalp so much. He's been hurting himself. And in fact, I just read an article on The Guardian, this one in the UK, about how it's such a very bad place for him to be. He's lost 12 games. It's not still early days. If another coach, it's just because is Pep Guardiola. I know you're not going to say the truth because you're a Man City fan. If another coach loses 12 games, you can't even lose 6 games and start in the Premiership.
No, you can't.
It's not possible.
It's because of his track record.
It's just because of his track record, and let's say the way it is.
And his end equity. His end equity, winning 4 in a row.
On the flip side, the surprising year for the likes of Maresca that I never even gave a chance.
Yeah.
I thought by this time, Chelsea would be languishing after the 10th or 12th position. And look at where Maresca is today. I never gave him a chance. In fact, I don't still give him a chance because I still feel it's a fairy tale, it's a fluke or something. You know, I'm just waiting to be proven right.
Still early days.
But it keeps deceiving me, and keeps beating me to it. So that's another one. Another one, I think, even leading up to the Olympics was, I don't know if you remember the equestrian story of that equestrian athlete that was revealed that she was maltreating an animal. And, she couldn't get to the Olympics and all of that. And also, you talked about the Olympics. You did talk about the shambolic performance of the team and the case of our cyclist. The minister had to...
We try to be positive here because of the Olympics.
Where we are, you see, Yorubas have been saying that when we are crying, we see. It was shambolic outcome, but also for the Paralympians, it was a great outcome. You did also talk about the deaths leading up. The move to Nigeria to get to the final came with a lot of emotional deaths. Well, today we remember the likes of Cairo Jibo. That they couldn't take the hard ordeal of the Nigerian versus South African game that passed, and a couple of other people also that passed on that period, and the top Nigerian businessman in Ivory Coast.
Yesterday.
Leading up to that finals, then Nigeria losing the finals, and the comeback story of Sebastian Haller. Which was that couple of months ago, he was to that tournament. He was just finishing his cancer treatment.
Chemo, he was just
chemotherapy.
coming up with chemo,
and he was the one that scored the winning goal in the nation's
Okay, so very quickly, great review. And yes, I do agree with you that in the scope of the world, you did touch on the major events around the world. But of course, you cannot talk about football, sports and not talk about the Premier League. It's the biggest league, and so when you look at what's happening there, it's big news.
It's only big news now.
We've been waiting for you to come back to talk about this Man City loss. That's why we pass the opportunity.
I'll be fully on ground from Monday to actually dissect it. Hopefully, Manchester City get back to winning ways this weekend.
Hopefully, but the truth is that, like you said, Pep Guardiola has earned his track record. So you can't take that away from him. He reminds me of, the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, the Arsene Wenger, and despite the fact that they are, towards the end of their tenure, it was quite tumultuous. But because of what they had achieved with the team prior, they couldn't really kick them out, or it didn't smear their history or their track record too much because they had proven themselves again and again. So it's just a bad patch. It's just like a very long bad patch.
And I think they'll bounce back.
But they will. I mean, they will. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, of course, is Nigerian sports and this move away from the Ministry of Sports to the Sports Commission and what that portends for the future of sports in Nigeria. You rightly put it on. We have the AFCON to look forward to. We have the qualifier for the World Cup still looking very, I don't even know if it's half and half or 70-30.
No, it's not, probably
maybe 80-20, but it would be a miracle to see that. But it would be such a shame because it's being held in a country where a lot of Nigerians would like to go to and be able to be a part of the process. So it'd be nice to see Nigeria participate at the 2026 World Cup, hopefully. And then, of course, our coach, like you mentioned, Rufai. But in terms of the Sports Commission, a few lessons to have learned from what some people have described as disgraceful, shambolic outing at the Olympics. Paralympics saved face for Nigeria, so I have to give them their kudos. But some of the things that happened, the mishaps that were administrative issues. You cited the issue of the cyclist. Remember the athlete? What's Chin? I can't remember her name now, but who didn't participate? Favor Philly. Who couldn't participate because they didn't get her registration properly. So these are the issues within the Sports Commission that we're hoping will be fixed so we can see better. And then our local league. A focus on our local league. I'm hoping that 2025 will present an opportunity for Nigeria to develop its local league and we begin to actually make money and have more people interested and see private investment. We've often talked about this. And then diversifying to other sports. beyond football. We've said, tennis used to be quite big for us in Nigeria, table tennis as well, athletics as well, even though, it's still there. But, so a few things to look forward to in sports in Nigeria and the rest. And of course, the Falcons. We keep talking about Ademola Lookman, but Inadozie also is a two-time winner. The Falcons, as a national team, did excellently well at the AFCON. So we need to give them the accolades as well. So congratulations on all levels, but I hope that 2025 will be a better sporting year for Nigeria.
Okay, let me start with the Premier League, which is arguably the most watched, football league among Nigerians, particularly at home here. Today is December 25. One major marker in England is to ask the team that is leading the league on Christmas Day, will it eventually win the title? As at this moment, Liverpool is top of that table, followed by Chelsea, followed by Arsenal. Now, 16 out of 32 seasons, the team that is leading the league took the title. But for Liverpool, the record has been worse. It's been in that position more than any other team.
Yes.
But it only won 11 out of the last 20 seasons, being on top of the league Christmas season. So will Liverpool be able to win this time around, and break that record of, 11 over 20? That, for me, will seem to be, the thing on Christmas Day with regard to the league. In any case, as I said, very exciting for Nigerians. And that's a question that we need to worry about as we go into the new year. What can we do to the league in Nigeria so that it will attract the same kind of excitement, zeal, if you like, enthusiasm, among Nigerians as, for example, the Premier League, the La Liga, the Serie A. Everybody is either a fan of Turkish football or Spanish football or German football.
Bundesliga.
When will Nigeria return to those winning days as we once had when we had, big teams in Nigeria? Now, as for sports generally, well, Ademola Lookman, yes, raised south of the river, which is the title of the documentary on him, couldn't even have regular food, had to depend heavily on his mother. And in the last 4 years, he's gone from the south of the river to the pinnacle of football. He had a good showing in the AFCON in Côte d'Ivoire. And then he helped Atalanta to win, the Europa League. Yes. And the first time a black man will score a hat-trick, in the finals and beating a team like Bayer Leverkusen. So it's good to celebrate him. We should also celebrate Willem Troost-Ekong, who emerged as the most valuable player at AFCON. We came second. People will say we're not too bad. We came second again in the Africa Games in Ghana, the 30th edition of the African Games. We took 120 medals in that tournament. And I think, that those people are also supposed to be praised. You were talking about the Olympics. Yes, it's good you praise the French government. But particularly, we should again praise our Paralympics team. That team that won 7 medals. Olufemi Ayo, Folashade, Eniola Bolaji, and also the Tigress, who became the first African basketball team to get to the quarterfinals at the Olympics internationally. Your good friend, Max Verstappen. This was the year of Max Verstappen again. This was the year of Caitlin Clark. This was the year of Barbara Banda, who won BBC Sports Personality of the Year. And also Kelly Hudson, who won, Best Sports Person, FIFA, that is. And then Vinicius Jr., Rodri, who won the Ballon d'Or. These are the superstars in your sector this year.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, our own superstar, Aaron Akerijala.